Hello everyone, Professor. Thank you for joining me. This is my presentation for my Data Management and Acquisition final project. For this project, I decided to focus on mass and school-related shooting data in America. So just a quick background, not only is the topic of gun violence in America considered to be a hot topic for debate, the devastating events of school and mass shootings are an epidemic in this country. Only one that most of us can relate to. Unfortunately, these topics overlap from time to time. So the data sources I used, the first one will be Mass Shooting in America from opendatasalt.com. And the second one is from the Center for Homeland Defense and Security, which is a school shooting focused data set from K-12 related data throughout the country. My research question here is, according to the mass shooting data set, or the first data set, which percentage of the data involves school-related shootings? And then, according to the school shooting data set, or the second data set, which states or state has the most occurrences of gun-related school instances? So the first data was in a JSimone format. So from here, I imported into R and just wanted to see the fields of this document, and there was 4. From here, I deduced that the fields category contained the heart of the data. So I just imported that as a separate table, and you can see that from here we have all the data that is imported into R, and I decided to wrap the data around the date just to give it some sorting format out of this nested JSON category. So from here, I wanted to focus on this school related column as that pertained to my research question. So I made another sub data frame out of that, as you can see here. And then I wanted to get some sort of inference out of this newly created database. So while I created this sub data frame, I wanted to get the count of what was going on in here. So in this instance, it was killed, no, unknown, and yes, as it pertains to school related, and then I wanted to get the count of each instance. As you can see from this newly created data frame, we have 2 occurrences of no, one lowercase and one capital, and then one that is categorized as killed and unknown. So I'm going to tidy this up a little bit and try to get 3 values out of here. So the first newly created variable, I added the second instance and the third instance of the newly created data frame, and the same for the first and fourth elements of the data frame to create 2 new variables. And then from here, I was dropping the ones I added together, so that being 1, 2, 3, and 4, conveniently. And then I renamed the newly created variables no and unknown to relate to the other one. So out of there, I got 3 new variables, yes, unknown, and known. And so from here, I wanted to find out which percentage of each variable overall was pertained to each variable. So from here, I wanted to get a percentage of the count. So I found the total using the sum function here, and then from here I'm going to use the ggplot and the pi functions to create a pie chart with this representation of percent of school-related mass shootings from 1966 to 2016. So the final result, from here we can see that 72% of the data does not involve school-related shootings, while 24% of the data does in fact involve school-related shootings, and 4% are unknown factors. So from here, I wanted to find the occurrences of each state that had school-related shootings. But as you can see from this dim function, there was only 307 total instances throughout this data set. So if you divide that by 50, that doesn't really give you an accurate reading over 40 years. So I found the data set on Homeland and Defense and Security Education, and this one's updated daily. So you can see after this CSV import that it has, without any cleaning, it has 5,700 instances. And so here, after a little import and cleaning, we can see that it does in fact have this state occurrence. So we can use that for our analysis. So going forward, I just wanted to drop two values that were not known at the end of the data set. It seemed like during importation, there was just these two empty columns created. So I just got rid of that, and then as you can see, there's still over 5,700 instances, which is more significant than the first one. So going forward, I created a new sub data frame, which takes the occurrences of each state and creates an end value. So you can see Arkansas has 20 and so on and so forth. So from here, I wanted to take these count numbers and create a heat map from this. From the previous data, that actually included the island of St. Croix, which is not part of the United States. So I had to drop that from the data set if I wanted to create a heat map. Also, I had to convert, as you can see, these are the abbreviations for each state. And in order to map the data, I needed it in its full name, and I also needed it in the lowercase format to match up with the 50 state R package, that we'll be using for our heat map. So as you can see from the next, if you do a little sort, that California has the most, followed by Texas. But I'm going to let the map show for itself. But this is just for reference. And as you can see, I just sended it. So here, we're going to create a nice heat map and then give the total value that belongs to each state on the map for viewing. So without further ado, let's show this heat map. And as you can see, California has the most, followed by Texas, and so on and so forth. This is a great package in R. I highly recommend it for anybody using maps. That would be 50 state R. So a little conclusion, throughout my analysis, found out some pretty interesting information from these two data sets. First and foremost, I found the second data set to be more robust than the first. Also, I found this first data set to have a lot of duplicate values. That's why I cut it down and it came out to 360 or whatever that value was. So during my analysis of the first data set, only 24% of mass shootings involve schools, and I shouldn't use the word only because that's almost a quarter of the data set, and that's way too much. Furthermore, during my analysis of the second data set, California was the state with the most occurrences of school shooting over the past 40 years. Thank you.